Good morning, ladies. This is Anna Rocoxy, the founder of Homemade Method, coming to you live today for part 2 of my special coronavirus free live events created with love for our homemade members and our entire homemade community. So welcome. I love to make these workshops as interactive as possible. Make sure you've got your pen and paper handy because we're going to be creating your emergency pantry stock plan and meal plan for dealing with the coronavirus, for dealing with self-isolation quarantine if you're going through that. Well, let us dive into today. And as always, please remember, I'm not a medical doctor. This is based on decades of personal research and over the past 7 years, helping thousands of ladies to lose weight, heal their bodies, reverse high blood sugars, pressure, cholesterol, get off medications. So if you do have a specific medical condition, always consult your doctor first. I would like to kick off today's session all about stocking your pantry and meal planning for over 50s during this coronavirus pandemic by asking you ladies, what are people in your hometown buying? So tell me what's out of stock on your shelves. It's been fascinating seeing some of the photos going around social media. While you type that in, because I'm very curious to know if it's actually the same all around the world, or if it's something different in every place. So while you type that in, I'm going to let you know some of the things that people in my hometown are buying. So I actually walked through the grocery stores specifically yesterday to prepare for this event, just to make sure I was up to date in seeing what is going on in the grocery stores. So here's what people in my hometown have been buying. And by buying, I mean this is what's either out of stock or very much dented in the supplies. So the list is like this for me: bread, meat, white pasta, white rice, pasta sauce and tin tomatoes, baked beans, and then flour, sugar, long life milk, instant noodles, and snacks like chips and chocolate. So I want to see what you ladies wrote. What is running out in your own hometown at the moment? So Catherine's saying bread and pasta. Cynthia says frozen pizzas, toilet paper, absolutely, Kerry, tomato sauce and pasta. Cynthia's saying eggs and milk. Specifically, I'm interested in grocery items, food. So Romela's saying pasta, rice, cake mixes, eggs, poultry, and toilet paper, says Adrian. Linda's saying eggs, milk, bread, toilet paper, but plenty of fresh produce. There you go. Well, I'm going to leave out the reading, end the reading out just there. Boxed food, says Gloria. So here's the point I'm trying to make here. Can anyone see anything wrong with what people are buying? I'll read out my list again real fast. Bread, meat, white pasta, white rice, pasta sauce, tomatoes, baked beans, flour, sugar, long life milk, instant noodles, chips and chocolate. And there was nothing really different that you ladies shared, so it does seem to be consistent around the world. So what's wrong with that? Can anyone type in the chat and tell me what's wrong with the foods that people are stocking up on? Let's see. Still lots of new suggestions coming in. All right, so while you type that in, I'm going to tell you that what is wrong with what people are buying. Well, Judith's already beat me to it. She says they're all buying all the things that are highly processed and bad for you. Lots of sugar and salt, nothing really nourishing, processed food, not nourishing. Right, you ladies got it. And so this is literally why I felt called to put on these workshops, because ladies, if there was ever a time to start buying nourishing foods that protects you and boosts your immune system and boosts your gut health, it is now. The stakes right now are so high. My family is taking pretty drastic measures right now to protect ourselves. This has never in human history happened before, where we've been given an opportunity to prepare for something like this and protect ourselves to the maximum extent possible. And let me tell you that white pasta, bread, meat, cake mixes, chips and candy is not going to get us there. In fact, those foods are inflammatory. They drain our immune system. They have an acid-forming effect on our bodies, which is correlated with disease. And you all know already from the media that things like being overweight, having high blood sugars, high blood pressure, high blood cholesterol, a history of respiratory issues, things like that have been correlated with having higher risks for the serious complications, even fatal risks of coronavirus. So we need to be buying the right foods and nourishing ourselves with the right foods now. Now is the time. And so that is what literally spurred me to put this on, because I think it's my duty to share this with anyone who is ready and willing to hear it and to take action. And even if you take one step from something I shared this week in any of the part 1 or part 2, then I really hope from the bottom of my heart that you will benefit from that change. So more than ever, your body needs food, good food, and to boost your immune system. This is not theory, this is science. We know that it's going to be a matter of getting our immune systems to the best situation possible to protect us from COVID-19. And this is especially true if you're in your 50s, 60s or 70s or older and particularly vulnerable. So my goal today is to show you the right type of foods to buy to stock your pantry, how to turn it into meals, and what to do with all your existing stocks so you can actually turn these challenging times into an opportunity. It is so easy right now to get swept up in anxiety and fear. And whenever my mind does that, first, I really recommend breathing and meditation. I've been doing 2 or 3 a day, even 5 minutes, just to feel into what you're feeling and let it all out. The breath is an incredible thing and it works. But then secondly, I say to myself, how can I switch this around into an opportunity? And I'm seeing the opportunities. I'm going, I get to spend more time with my family and children now. And, you know, we're so busy all the time. And I have a 4-year-old and a 16-month-old who probably can't go to part-time daycare or kindy where they're going now. It's time to have more time with family. Maybe I will finally create that urban veggie garden I've been dreaming about for years and always joke that I don't have a green thumb, but maybe now with enough effort and attention and motivation, maybe I can do that. I can't wait to have more time to slow down and cook with my family, maybe read some more books, you know, and really let's get ourselves into our best, healthiest shape ever. You know, this could be the catalyst where certain people in the world will be able to use this as an opportunity to get in their best, healthiest shape ever. And I know my ladies who are in the program who are on have already experienced that just by taking the simple baby steps that we share in the program. So you can do it too, and you don't have to be perfect. So that's my message to you. That's what I'm going to be showing you today. So I'm going to be covering my emergency pantry stock recommendations so you can eat delicious, safe and healthy meals without leaving the house. I'm going to be sharing my meal planning recommendations so you can actually turn your stock into meals. And I'm going to show you how to use that, what you already have in your fridge and cupboard. So type in, if you're excited, type in ready if you are ready, or type in opportunity if you're ready to turn this into an opportunity to actually get healthy, get in the best, healthiest shape of your life and enjoy a long and healthy retirement. So ladies, let us do this. I'm excited. Let's dive in. Scrolling through some of the comments there. Awesome, Gina. I'm so happy you're here. Ready, Bernadette, Janine, Romola. Awesome. All right. So part 1 is going to be my emergency pantry stock recommendations. And so just repeating the URL to pick up the free pantry stock recipe guide and pantry stock checklist, because I'm going to be going through the pantry stock checklist. So it's at, the URL is, I'm seeing lots more readies, Teresa, Gloria, Debbie, Vera, Mary, Judy, Susanna. Awesome. So just always ready, says Debbie. Perfect. All right. So the URL is welcome.homemade-cooking.com/coronavirus. I linked it in the comments. So if you go there and sign up, in a minute or 2 in your inbox, you should have links to our recipe guides and also the pantry stock checklist. And I'm going to start off with that pantry stock checklist. So when you're going grocery shopping, ladies, the good news is 95% of the things on this list are going to be available at your local grocery stores because people aren't buying them, and that is to your benefit. And I do hope we spread the message and it becomes more even. But right now, you should not have any problems picking up these items. Good for us and good for everyone else who gets on board. And so when you're doing your grocery shopping, I want you to think of your shopping in categories. And by categories, I mean, first think about food groups and your body's nutrition needs. So I'm talking your fresh produce, fruits and vegetables. I'm talking your carbohydrates, your starches, so things like whole grains, your pastas, your grains, and then your meats or fish if you eat meats or fish, or vegetable-based proteins if you don't, and then some other things. So once your basic needs are met by getting basically your produce, your grains, and your proteins in, then other things are kind of optional and you can mix and match. So pretty simple, really. And then secondly, so that's principle one, is think in terms of food groups or your body's nutrition needs. I just call it categories. I kind of box them in my brain as, have I got something from this category? Have I got something from this category? So that's principle one. Principle two is next think in terms of perishable or non-perishable. And this is the new need due to the times we're in. Before you didn't have to think about that because you'd know that you could access your grocery store anytime. So you just bought what you needed. Now I want you to think, okay, I want to have as much perishable produce as possible because typically the more closer to nature and living and raw the food you eat, typically the more the nutritional benefits. There are certain exceptions, but on the whole, that is a true principle. And so you want to be having as much perishable food as possible. But in these uncertain times, we literally don't know if and when there will come a time when our local grocery stores get shut down for a period of time. And by the way, I don't really think that's going to happen. I think we've got a pretty good handle on the pandemic. The government is trying to push down the top of that curve, drip out the rate of infection so that the medical system can handle it. And they're dealing with the risk factors caused by people being in close proximity. So I know in the Bay Area, for example, certain shops have implemented, only 10 customers can go in at a time to maintain the social distancing. So I think our globe, our world is putting an incredible effort into dealing with this crisis in the best possible way. But we still want to be prepared because times are uncertain now. So when you do your grocery shopping, principle two, if you could write it in the chat as well, is think in terms of perishable foods and non-perishable. We want to have a bit of both so that you're prepared. And then lastly, I like to always have a third principle, which is your healthy snacks or desserts. So this is the bit where you might not be perfect, you might be grazing. And so what are we going to have? So we have something healthy to meet that salty or sweet craving that's not going to do too much damage but still satisfy you, so we don't go down that worse avenue of, going into chips and candy and things like that, which there's nothing wrong with that now and then, but we just don't want this to turn into too much stress eating or emotional eating. So let's get prepared by having some healthy snacks or desserts on hand. So that's the three principles for your pantry stock. Principle one, think in terms of categories. That's your body's nutrition needs. Principle two, think in terms of perishable and non-perishable items. And principle three is plan to have some healthy snacks or desserts. So what does this look like in action? Well, the categories that I've attached onto your pantry and fridge stocking checklist, which you will find when you go through that URL, we'll email you the link as well. Don't worry too much. I've broken it up into fresh produce that may go off quickly, and then hearty produce that should last for weeks. And then there's a section for your refrigerated groceries, and most of these are perishable, but some of them will still last for weeks. Then there's that category for your whole grains, a category for your canned goods and non-perishables. So this is the stuff you can fall back on to create meals in case you can't get to the store for a while. And then beans and legumes could really go in that same canned goods, non-perishable category, but because we've got quite a few, we separate it out. Then we have a section for frozen items. And lastly, there's a section for snacks, nuts, seeds, and dried fruits. So try to avoid buying junk food and snacks in bulk. I think this is a big mistake people are making because trust me, if you do, you will eat more. And that's the last thing you want to be doing now, causing more inflammation and stress and load on your body's systems. We want to actually promote gut health, boost immunity, and get as much of those health promoting foods in our bodies as possible. So let me go into a bit more detail in what each of those categories might comprise of and how much to buy. So at the moment, when I'm buying fresh produce, I'm trying to think about buying as much as I possibly can that we would eat in 7 to 10 days. Again, in this time of uncertainty, there might be a little bit of uncertainty about when we can get to a store again. So I want to try to set myself up with as much produce as possible. Now, having said that, be realistic. If you find a lot of your produce goes off a lot, then just aim for the best that you can imagine eating in 7 to 10 days with whoever you live with in your house as well. So some of the items under this list would be in-season fruits, vegetables that could be bell peppers, zucchinis, tomatoes, cucumbers, asparagus, mushrooms, avocado, green onions, eggplant, whatever you like. Things like fresh herbs are amazing. And then your dark leafy greens, super critical. The more you can eat this first section, you will get so much protection, so much immunity boosting, antioxidants, polyphenols, vitamins, minerals. You'll be getting so many benefits, antiviral, antibacterial properties. So very good to load up on your fresh produce. And by dark leafy greens, we're not talking your classic lettuce. We're talking things like kale, spinach, arugula, and chard. So maybe write down some of the fresh produce, what your plan is on a piece of paper, and write down some ideas of what you're going to be buying, how much, where you're going to be getting it from, because I want you to leave today with a really, really clear plan that you can go and execute. I would say, Romola, that you can freeze greens and keep most of the nutrients. It's mainly heat that destroys nutrients in foods and oxidization. So if you chop something and then it has a big surface area open to the air, it will start to oxidize. So I was going to discuss this later, but I'll bring it in now because Debbie and Romola are asking about it. One thing you can do with things like herbs is actually chop them up, put them in ice cube trays, cover them with olive oil, and then put them in your freezer, and they will stay fresh like that for weeks. And then you have these little flavor bombs that you can use. And herbs have got extremely potent health protective properties. You could write a whole book just on the health benefits of herbs. So if you do that, that is a great idea, and you can keep them fresh for a long time like that. All right. There is a third document, which is the pantry stock guide. Perfect. All right, so let's go on to the next category for your pantry stock, which is the Hearty Produce. So now going down the layer, let's say you've used up your fresh produce, you've frozen what you can. This is going to be things like potatoes, sweet potatoes, carrots, onions, your pumpkins, your butternut squash, apples, oranges, garlic, fresh ginger root, and lemons. And these should stay fresh on your counter for even a couple of weeks. So if you buy the more perishable produce, what you want to be doing is actually starting to use up that fresh perishable produce first, and then over time you want to go to that more hardy produce. And then if the shops are still open and everything's fine, then you're welcome to go buy more of that fresh produce. So that's why we broke it up like that on your pantry stock guide. Now your next category is your refrigerated groceries. I want to highlight that this pantry stock and fridge guide is basically what we regard as a realistic but ideal stock for optimum health. That's what we're trying to deliver to you here. If you don't know what to buy to eat the most healthy foods that's going to give you the maximum protection from COVID-19, help you lose weight without dieting, help you reverse high blood sugars, pressure, and cholesterol, this is our proven checklist based on helping thousands of ladies do this and years of experience in this area. And so point being, your groceries may not look exactly like this. If you don't like beets or you don't like avocados or you can't eat yogurt, you don't need to buy everything on here. We need to meet you where you're at and just try and buy a few extra things that you might not be familiar with. So with that said, this is how I recommend you stock your fridge with things that aren't produce. My essential list for you is whole plain yogurt, milk if you have it, whatever type of milk you want, eggs, cheese. Cheese is wonderful for seasoning your salads and food. Smoked salmon is amazing. It's so good for your brain, for your gut health, for reducing high blood cholesterol. It's good for your skin. It's incredible. It's a real superfood. Sauerkraut or pickles, which have been pickled in the brine. And the reason this is good is because they are fermented foods. That's going to help your gut health, help populate your gut microbiome with those beneficial gut bacteria that we now know are super connected with keeping you healthy, keeping your immune system strong. And hummus is just a great example of a snack food you can have on hand, dip some veggies or healthy crackers in it. So that's kind of like your fridge stock. And now we're going to move to the stuff that's out of the fridge. So these are the stocks that I recommend you keep in your actual pantry. So we've listed a list of grains. You can buy as many or as few of these as you like. It depends how much you want to be prepared, how much space you have, how much budget you have. But this is the list we put together for you: brown rice or wild rice, quinoa, farro, amaranth, whole wheat pasta, bulgur, and whole rolled oats. Now, if you're sitting there going, I have no idea what to do with any of that, well, I am going to cover meal suggestions in a minute. And that is pretty much also what we teach you how to do in our program, how to actually use all of these healthful ingredients to create easy, fast, healthy meals. So don't worry, there's help on hand, and we are going to be going through it in today's talk as well. Then your canned goods and non-perishables. Our suggestions are things like coconut milk, tinned tomatoes if you can still get them, tomato paste if you can still get it. Tinned tuna is actually wonderful, and there's still tons of that left on the shelves, and it's great because if your freezer is full and you want to be getting some good protein in, tinned tuna is so readily available. It's inexpensive. You can buy tinned salmon if you're able to. That's got even more beneficial health properties. And then you can create meals out of that. Like, for example, instead of, if you can't do a spaghetti bolognese, you can do a tuna spaghetti bolognese. And yeah, it tastes a little bit different, but it's better than just eating a plant-based pasta every single night for weeks on end, which is what everyone else seems to be planning for, buying white pasta and tinned tomatoes. So tinned tuna is a good one, and it's great to eat in wraps and things like that. Now, I do recommend you grab some of those whole grain crackers. My personal favorites are the Mary's Crackers range and Ryvitas. And then things like whole grain wraps or lavash are great. Many of those last for weeks in those stay fresh packaging. So that's pretty good. Then just your basics. Don't forget your basics like salt, pepper, olive oil, coconut oil, some kind of high smoke point oil like grapeseed oil, and then turmeric powder if you haven't already got it. Any other spices as needed. So things like paprika, curry powder, cinnamon, chili flakes, so you can make your food tasty. And of course, my members' personal favorite, which is tea or coffee. So stock up on those items. Those are non-perishables, so they'll be good for as long as you want to have them on hand. They'll be there to support you. And then we recommend that you grab some beans and legumes. So if possible, getting it dried from the trail mix section is best, because that way it hasn't been stored in high sodium water and it hasn't been sitting there for a long time. But having said that, I always have both. I always have tinned beans on hand for a quick, easy meal as well. So you've got to meet yourself with what's realistic and make it easy. So some of the options here that are the best are things like lentils, black beans, garbanzo beans, pinto beans, black-eyed peas, and navy beans. So that's some of the examples. Fava beans is another one. Anything you like. They are amazing to have on hand because together with rice, it makes a perfect protein. And you can make things like hearty bean soups. You can make things like plant-based bean burgers. We've got all of these recipes in the program for the ladies who want to go check them. We've got things like breakfast with beans you can make. So that's a great item to have on hand. And then the last two categories are frozen items. I don't know about you, but I have personally hardly any space in my freezer. But if you do have space, our suggestions are basically obviously to freeze down your meats. Whatever you eat, 3 to 4 options. It could be ground beef, lean beef, lamb, chicken, pork. We do recommend a whole chicken is fantastic. and can make several days of food with one cooking session. As well as that, we recommend things like vegetables. So if we do get to that point where you've run out of your perishable produce and you can't get to a grocery store, things like peas, corns, veggie mixes, stir fry mixes, broccoli, cauliflower are amazing to have in the freezer. And then also some frozen fruits. So you can freeze up your own chopped up frozen fruits, but some of my personal favorites are things like just buying bags of frozen berries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, or mango. They all freeze amazingly, and they've got so many beneficial health properties and really easy to whip up into a homemade superfood smoothie. And then a lot of my ladies love having some whole wheat pizza base or cauliflower pizza bases in their freezer. It's a fast, easy, satisfying comfort food meal, and if you make it yourself at home, it can be actually really nourishing. And then lastly, don't forget your snacks and nuts and seeds and dried fruits and desserts. So this is going to be a time that's going to bring out stress eating and comfort foods for a lot of you. So to all my ladies in the program, go back and revise your mindset materials and reach out in our members only group for support to get through this, because a lot of us, our go-to response to stress and emotions is food, and most often it's not the best foods. So we want to set ourselves up for success by stocking up on foods you can go to if you're having a salt craving or a sweet craving or just feeling down, that are actually going to nourish your body instead of harming your body. So the list we put together would be things like almonds, cashews, walnuts. Chia seeds are amazing because they've got all the amino acids that your body needs, and they're also high in protein and high in healthy fats, the omega-3 and 6 fatty acids. So very good for your brain, for your gut, for lowering cholesterol, for your blood sugars, for supporting healthy weight loss. And you can just add them to smoothies or make a delicious chia seed pudding in minutes. And we do have that recipe too for my program members, so go check it out in your materials. Flax seeds, very good for balancing hormones if you're going through menopause or perimenopause. And again, you can add them to oatmeal, to your smoothies. And then really any nut or seed butters, I find them to be great just to have a scoop. If you do want something kind of decadent after dinner, you can make delicious delights out of them too. We've got that recipe for our chocolate almond bliss balls. That's on our website, homemademethod.com. Go to the recipes and select guest, and there's a bunch of free recipes on there. We've also got the dark chocolate Medjool Date recipe on there, which is the next suggestion, is to stock up on Medjool Dates. And then other dried fruits, things like dried apricots, dried figs, prunes, raisins, sultanas, cranberries, dark chocolate. Have a bit on stock, so if you do get that craving, you've got something. We recommend at least 70% cacao. And then we always like to have at home coconut sugar. It's a natural sweetener that's much lower GI and lower calorie than sugar, but completely natural. Cacao powder, that's how you can turn all of the stuff I just listed into beautiful, delicious desserts. And then popcorn kernels. That's, again, it's a great way. You can just add some olive oil, put it in a pot, put the lid on, some salt, shake it around for a few minutes, and you can make your own homemade popcorn with none of the nasty chemicals or health-damaging hydrogenated and trans fats that they put in the microwave popcorn. So those are some ideas to make sure you've got your snacks and nuts and seeds and dried fruits on hand. And those dried fruits, yes, they are high in sugar, but the amount of sugar you'll be having compared to eating candy or ice cream is so much less on net. It's almost incomparable. And also those dried fruits are packaged together with tons of fiber, so you don't get the same blood sugar spikes as when you eat those refined sugary foods and the candy and the junk food. So that's some ideas there. Now, I'd love you ladies. I've shared my pantry stock recommendations checklist. I'd love to invite you to type in the chat some ideas you have. Is there anything I'm missing here? So let me answer some of your questions coming in. I saw a question. Yes, I love the Mary's crackers too. From Rommel about rice cakes. I think rice cakes are fantastic, and those corn thins are fantastic as well. They can actually increase blood sugars a little bit because they don't have too much fiber in them. So just watch that if you are pre-diabetic or diabetic. Wraps do actually freeze well, Kathy, along with bread. That's one of my suggestions, to pop the bread in the freezer. Okay, so Dixie's saying no beans or legumes on the shelves. I wonder if you go to the trail mix section of your store, whether there are beans and legumes there as opposed to the tinned ones, the actual dry packets, because at least in my hometown, that section was completely untouched. So yours may be different. I did ask at the beginning for some feedback on what's missing, but hopefully you'll find some. Yes, Carol also suggested the bulk section. Perfect. Okay, so thanks, Margie, for helping with people finding the pantry stock checklist. Make your own chocolate, says Linda. Absolutely. If you just melt some, if you can buy some cacao butter, add some coconut sugar, some cacao powder, and any add-ins, and then freeze it, you can make the most delicious homemade chocolate. Perfect. Sharon's saying she got out and was able to pick up broccoli, carrots, apples, avocado, kiwi, bananas for smoothies and banana muffins, pears, raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, cashew, spinach, canned, cauliflower soup, organic beet crackers, kefir, beans, cheeses, eggs, chicken breast, dates. Amazing. Sharon, you're going to be feeling great. Now, I hope you're going to use all your spare time for cooking up all that good, nourishing food, and keep us posted on your progress. All right. And yes, nice cream is a great suggestion. Thanks, Debbie, for sharing the link again. Medjool Dates, Romola, last a long time. I normally keep mine in the fridge or the freezer, but they really do stay fresh for a long time, for weeks. Hey, Mona, so nice to see you. All right, so let's go on to part 2, which is, let's see. So Nancy's saying, I'm afraid to even go to the grocery store, therefore going very infrequently and eating anything rather than what I should. So some suggestions for Nancy and anyone feeling like that. One is that if you can buy some potassium permanganate, you can actually put about a tablespoon or a gram into a liter of water and soak your produce in there, and that will actually help get rid of any bacteria on your fresh produce. You can ask someone, potentially a neighbor or someone, to go to the grocery shop for you if you're feeling particularly vulnerable. See if they will bring you over some supplies. I'm not sure if Amazon is still delivering in your area, but we did include links to buy ingredients on Amazon in case they are, as many ingredients as we could link up. And then other than that, you know, the word on the street is that if you do stay 1.5 meters away from people and you really sanitize your hands and you don't touch your hands and face, you should be protected from catching it. Of course, if you feel like your immune system is compromised and you have been under a great deal of stress and not sleeping well, maybe you can see if someone else can do your grocery shopping for you. So hang in there, things will get better, and just keep a steady head. And the more you can make better decisions for your health and choose the right foods, you will literally be doing probably 10 times more good than staying home and eating the wrong foods, which is going to put you at risk. Actually, it's compromising your body's ability to protect itself. So do what you can and ask for help if you need it. I'm sure there's someone in your community who'd be willing to get you some fresh, healthy produce. And now you have a checklist for them, so you can just circle the items you want and send them off to the shops for you. Cool. All right. Yes, everyone loves the Ezekiel bread and wraps in my members group also. So no dry beans or rice left, says Jeannie. Okay. Great, Renee. I'm so glad you found it finally. Adrian, you know, if you can't get coconut sugar, normally it's available in most health food stores. Again, if this is a difficult time and you can't get stuff like that, you can use honey, you can use Medjool Dates, you can use maple syrup, you can use brown sugar. If it comes to it, just use what you need to sweeten your food to make it palatable, so you can cook those healthy, nourishing ingredients at home. Yeah, absolutely, Kathy. Go to the smaller stores if it's better for you and you can get everything you need. In fact, I'm definitely leaning towards the smaller stores rather than the chains right now. Sardines are amazing tea, so definitely go for them. They've got all those beneficial health properties of salmon. All right. So Medjool Dates, Mary, I've just never had them go off. I always eat them before they go off. I think they last weeks or potentially even months, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. All right, cool. Thank you, Karen. It is so true. I did update the pantry stock checklist last night when I was completing my final preparations for today. So if you did download it on Tuesday, there is a new version on the website. Alrighty, Kerry's saying also many grocery stores will deliver. So potassium permanganate for the produce cleaning. And apparently there's lots of that still available. So that is great. All right, ladies, let us carry on to the next topic I want to cover, which is, well, okay, how do we actually turn this into food? So we've now stocked up. And so how do we do the meal planning part? And so I also am going to sprinkle in here tips to use up what you already have in your fridge and your cupboards so you can actually be economical and avoid food waste. So type in the chat to help the other ladies with your ideas. What are your meals that you're planning or have already cooked? And especially if it's easy or healthy and can be made in bulk, I think one of the best things you can do right now is think about any meals that can be cooked in bulk, so you're not cooking every single meal all of the time, especially if you're not used to cooking all of your own food. So here's our suggestions for helping you plan your meals during the COVID-19 outbreak. The guiding principle is that I want you to think first about the meal that you're preparing, and then secondly, think about your perishables, meaning what needs to be used up. So first you think about, am I preparing breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or a snack? Next, think about, what do I have that needs to be used up? Is it a bunch of shard that's getting limp? Is it your yogurt, it expires in a few days or it's beyond the use by date? Is it some fruit that's going soft on your counter? So next, think about what needs to be used up. And then thirdly, think about what your body needs. So for example, if I started my day with toast, which is a carb, which is fine if it's a whole grain carb and I add some good avocado on it or have it with some beans and tomatoes, you can have great toast and make it a nourishing meal. But if I had toast for breakfast, I'm probably not going to have a pizza for lunch and pasta for dinner, because that means I'm getting a lot of carbohydrates that day and not a lot of other stuff. It's that principle of what do you say yes to means what are you saying no to. So I want to say yes to a lot of balanced meals that provides my body with everything I need from all of the food groups and all of those vitamin-rich and mineral-rich fruits and vegetables. So think about what your body needs. And the easy way to think about what your body needs is break it up into your macro and micronutrients. Macro simply means carbs, proteins, and fat. Make sure you're getting a good spread of carbs, protein, and fat, either in every single meal or spread throughout the day. So if I have carbs for breakfast, I'm going to try and have more of the proteins for lunch. Pretty simple. And then your micronutrients is literally, at its simplest, it's having a lot of fresh fruit and vegetables, dark leafy greens, as much as you can. And so that's kind of how to think about what your body needs. And then when you think about, the next thing to think about as a guiding principle for meal planning, I love this one because I don't think people talk about this enough in the healthy eating world, which is, what do you feel like? You know, I think one of the reasons our members find the program so liberating is because we say, if you want to eat chips, make your own healthier homemade potato fries or sweet potato fries in the oven. Or if you feel like a burger, make your own healthy homemade burgers. And you can even do it with a meat patty if you want, and you can maybe even sneak some grated zucchini or carrot in there and no one will really notice. So think about what you feel like and lean towards that and see if you can make a healthy homemade version of it. And then lastly, the last step for actually turning your food into meals is to think about what cooking technique are you going to use to get there. So let me talk you through an example of this. So let's say the meal I want to plan for is dinner, and the thing I need to use up is, say I've got some, maybe it's tomatoes and maybe it's some beef mince. You can see where I'm going with this one. It's a pretty obvious one. And then what my body needs, well, so this is the thing. I might cook different things depending on what my body needs. If my body needs just something really hearty and filling and nourishing, I might make a homemade bolognese with pasta. But if my body has already had a lot of carbs that day, I might do zucchini noodles and make a pasta with that, with the tomatoes and the beef mince. So think about what meal you're preparing, what perishables you need to use up, then what your body needs and what you feel like. And then lastly, your cooking technique. So let's go through this meal by meal and take notes so you can actually plan what you're going to make this week and maybe even next week. So try to think about 4 to 5 dinner ideas per week, and then with a bit of leftovers, you won't have to cook every night. And so Here's the strategy for planning your dinners. First of all, take inventory of what you have on hand and create some kind of mental or actual list of some of your items. It doesn't have to be perfect, but jot down some of what you have on hand, and then write down some of your favorite easy meals that come to mind and with what you already have. These are the meals that are going to put a smile on your face, that you'll look forward to eating. They're your easy go-to existing comfort food meals. So it could be whole wheat spaghetti and meatballs, it could be chicken and vegetable soup, it could be beef and vegetable stir fry, it could be eggs and toast, could be pizza. And now you've got some ideas to begin with. If these meals that are in your existing repertoire of what you cook, if they don't involve much perishables, if they don't use up many of your existing perishables, let's put them later in the week on your plan. So you might write Monday to Sunday on your plan, and you might put some of those meals later in the week. So now you know what you're going to be cooking later in the week. And now here's some other dinner meal planning ideas that you might not have already thought of. So doing a roast chicken, a roast pork, maybe some roasted veggies, maybe some sheet pan meals. So some specific ideas that we've offered for this, and we've shared all of these recipes with you in your free recipe guide, is the roasted chicken with Gremolata. That's super popular with our members. The roasted fish with vegetables, and then some stuffed sweet potatoes. So 3 different options depending on what your palate, your preferences, what you've got on hand. Super easy meals. What's great about these meals is you literally pop them in the oven with minutes of prep, and then the oven does all the hard work. Another dinner meal planning idea is to plan to have maybe one roast this week. So write down one of those recipes or something you already have on hand that you're going to make this week. The second dinner meal planning idea would be a soup or a stew. They're so easy because you can make them in bulk, you can throw in the kitchen sink, you can use up perishables, and they're so soothing, immune boosting, and also comforting. It's a great food to be having right now. It's been scientifically proven that soups made at home with plenty of fresh produce or chicken and all the parts of the chicken actually do help boost immune activity in your body. It's incredible. And all those vitamin C and zinc that it contains, super good for boosting your immunity and fighting off colds and flus and viruses. So a couple of examples of the recipes we shared with you from part 1, we had the bone broth and the flu-fighting chicken soup in there. Now, another dinner meal planning idea, which is super easy if you're in a time crunch, if you're still working, if you're commuting, if you're very tired and you don't have much hand strength to cut up a lot of veggies, searing is a great option. It takes about under 10 minutes with one single pan to make a restaurant quality meal. We have a training on this, but basically you just heat up your pan. So if you're in the program, go and check, I think it's module 3, if you need a refresh on this. But basically you can take any piece of meat, fish, even portobello mushroom, tempeh, throw it in a very hot pan. You simply cook it on very high heat, either side for 3-4 minutes, flip it, and then you're done. And you can season that very simply with just salt and olive oil, or you can add your favorite spices, such as you could use paprika, you could use teriyaki sauce at the end, you could use soy sauce, you could add some of your freshly chopped ginger or garlic to it. There's so much you can do with that. And then the best thing is you can take the meat or fish out of the pan and cook your veggies in the same pan on lower heat, so you have a meal out of it. Another dinner meal planning category is slow cooker meals. These are so awesome because it's really minimal prep, minimal work from you, and you can create days of food. So one of the recipes we've shared is our slow cooker hearty bean soup. You can do risottos in the slow cooker, you can do pea and ham soup, lots of great ideas there. And another meal planning idea is casseroles. And one of the great things about casseroles is you can layer in potatoes, sweet potatoes, but also your cauliflower, your broccoli, tons of veggies in there, maybe mixed with some chicken stock or some vegetable stock, maybe add some meat, maybe not, maybe you put some tinned pre-cooked beans or lentils in there, and you can have a delicious meal, top it with cheese if you like, delicious meal, again with pretty minimal prep really, one single dish, and then eat for days out of that. And then I think you should all plan something fun as well that maybe you can look forward to cooking something that might be a little creative for you, maybe sushi. We have a homemade sushi rolling recipe. You can make it with whatever you've got on hand. We've also shared in the free recipe kit our freezer-ready fajita kits. So that could be a fun one where you can make it in bulk and then freeze it to enjoy whenever you just want a quick, easy meal that tastes like comfort food, that tastes like takeout, but it's actually still nourishing for your body. So jot down in the comments some of your meal planning ideas for dinner. What are you going to be cooking? What are some of the suggestions I shared that you're excited to try or add to your meal planning list? And write yes in the comments if you feel like you now have ideas for at least 4 to 5 nights of dinner meals that feel accessible and easy and doable for you to do. And if not, reduce it down. Maybe start with 2 or 3 and just cook more of them and eat them for a few more extra days. So that's the tips there. My one tip as well with dinners is I almost always recommend all of your dinners be served with a side of lightly cooked vegetables or a side salad. It really is one of the keys to health, longevity, losing weight, reversing those high blood sugars, pressure and cholesterol, which are all risk factors for having the more serious complications from COVID-19, to have a lot of vegetables in your life. And the more you can start adding them anywhere, everywhere, anytime, the more you're going to be getting all those benefits. So try to add a side salad to just about everything you cook. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be a pile of greens, a few cherry tomatoes, a few slices of cucumber, drizzled with some balsamic vinegar and olive oil. It doesn't have to be difficult. So do write down some of the meal ideas now that you've come up with out of this. Yes, great ideas. Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. Lots of people getting excited with their dinner meal planning. All right, well, let's keep going to the other meals. So lunches, I really think of lunches in 2 ways. It's either leftovers served with a side salad, or it is a salad or a wrap. So 90% of my lunches fall into that category of either being leftovers or it's a salad or a wrap. And so when it comes to your salads, again, you want to make them nourishing, you want to make them hearty, you want to make them abundant and filling. The biggest mistake I see ladies make when they're trying to get healthy and lose weight is they don't eat enough, and then they end up binge eating or overeating later at night on the bad foods because they're starving themselves. So if you want to start eating more healthy, you need to make yourself abundant serves of this good food like salads. So some of my tips for making these abundant, delicious, satisfying salads is to add some of those things that we've talked about in the pantry stock checklist, like hard-boiled egg or cheese or tuna or beans or nuts. These are those proteins and healthy fats that is going to help heal your body, boost your immune system, but also make you feel full and satisfied, so you're not reaching for the ice cream or the cookies later. And then think about preparing maybe 1 grain or 1 bean dish at the beginning of your week. So I will often cook up a big pot of brown rice or quinoa or kidney beans or both in the morning or on a Sunday afternoon or on a Monday morning. It takes minutes to throw it all on the boil, and you can get on with your cleaning, your washing, watch TV, whatever you're doing, and it'll just cook for you. And once it's done, you can drain it, rinse it if you like, pop it in an airtight container, and now you've got 3 to 5 days of sustaining sides that you can add to your dinners or add to your salads to make them into a nourishing, hearty meal. It makes all the difference when you add these things to a salad. It really does. So the other good news is when you combine these whole grains with a bean or legume, you actually get a complete protein that provides all the amino acids that your body needs, which rice and beans don't do on their own. It's when you put them together that you get that. So really important. So some suggestions are things like rice and beans, or polenta with black-eyed peas, farro with lentils, and that gives you that complete protein. And then anything you don't eat, you can actually freeze. You can add it to soup later to thicken them, and they make great sides for your dinners and stuff as well. So again, write down 3 to 4 lunch ideas that you can think of using some of your perishable salad and vegetable ingredients. Which grain are you going to go and cook today or tomorrow morning that you're going to add to your salads or enjoy as a side? And when you use those good whole grains, that's those good slow release carbs that actually helps you lose weight helps you regulate your blood sugars better. It actually helps decrease your risk for certain cancers. So it's really good to include those good whole grains, and it actually feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut microbiome. So these are prebiotics, I always get them confused. Prebiotics actually feed the good bacteria in your gut. So you want to be having these good whole grains as part of your healthy eating lifestyle. And if anyone's doubting whether you can eat carbs as a diabetic or eat carbs like this and still lose weight, then I just invite my members and success members who are on now, who've been following my principles, to share if they've been losing weight using these principles, share how much weight you've lost, and whether you found liberation from actually being able to eat whole grains and carbs again after all the misinformation out there. Okay, I want to hop right on to breakfast. So think about having about 3 breakfast variations a week. You don't need to eat a different breakfast every day, but if you're having those sugary breakfast cereals, muffins, cookies, skipping breakfast, just having coffee, you're literally setting yourself up for binge eating and overeating the wrong foods at night, which is causing all the damage, which is causing the weight gain, which is causing the elevated blood numbers, and raising blood cholesterol. And so what you want to be doing is thinking about, what do you want for breakfast? So do you like sweet foods? Do you like savory foods? If you're a savory person, you want to lean towards things like eggs. You could do poached eggs. You could do scrambled eggs. You could do sauteed mushrooms with mixed greens and onions. You could make your own baked beans, so easy to do, with some tomato and some beans. Maybe you could add some cumin in there, some paprika. Another great favorite is avocado toast. Sliced avocado drizzled with some lemon juice and olive oil, cracked pepper, yum. So good. Smoked salmon on toast, maybe with some cream cheese. So those are some savory ideas. If you're more of a sweet girl, think about things like oats. We've got our perfect oats recipe on the website at thehomemademethod.com, and click on recipes guest. We've got overnight oats recipes in our membership. So ladies in the membership, go and check those out. There's a whole module on different overnight oats. There's amazing ones like lime, cheesecake, and chocolate pudding, and all kinds of things. So check those out, but it's literally you just soaking your oats overnight in some milk and adding nuts and dried fruit and your toppings in the morning. Super easy to do, lasts for 4 or 5 days. It stays fresh and tastes amazing. Chia pudding, Margie is on. Ask her for her favorite recipe that she got from our program, because she raves about it, but very delicious. It tastes like you're having pudding for breakfast. So try that. And then, of course, our all-time favorite, smoothie bags. So freezing a banana with some berries or fruit, and then adding in your superfood mixes like psyllium or chia seeds or flax seeds or cacao powder. Freeze those baggies up, and when it's time to eat it, add a fistful of greens or freeze the greens in there with the liquid of your choice, and you will have a superfood smoothie. Great for breakfast, great for snacks on the go, anytime really. And then as a bonus, we've included a couple of recipes for you in the free guide: the banana almond smoothie recipe and the carrot and raisin morning muffins recipe. So those are some lunch ideas and breakfast ideas. So type in if you're a sweet or a savory breakfast person, and then type in what you're going to be having for breakfast out of the list. So what's 3 breakfast ideas that I've just listed, or your own favorites that you now know you can plan and prepare during this time if you're not able to leave your house. And then lastly, because at Homemade Method, we are all about enjoying our food and not being deprived, make sure you've got some snacks and desserts. So my favorite snacks and desserts are things like nuts, seeds, dried fruit, Medjool Dates, and then if you add cacao and put all that in a food processor, maybe with some nut butters, you can make amazing, delicious creations. Roll them in desiccated coconut or roll them in chia seeds. They will stay fresh for weeks in the freezer. Amazing snacks, healthy, delicious, super nourishing for your body. And those healthy fats actually help bring down the bad LDL cholesterol, the good omega-3 and 6 fatty acids in the chia seeds, and the flax seeds will actually help to bring up your good HDL cholesterol. Then some more snacks and desserts ideas, things like Mary's crackers, hummus, just avocado on crackers, cheese on crackers. Those, get the good crackers, don't get the simple refined white flour crackers wherever possible, because those are moreish. They're coated with salt. They've got the bad hydrogenated and trans fats. So all of which is to say, those are the types of crackers that leads to the weight gain, that leads to the elevated blood sugars, that leads to the high blood cholesterol. So buying those good whole grain crackers like Ryvita, Mary's crackers, it makes a world of difference. Some more snack and dessert ideas, things like smoothie bags, things like yogurt topped with honey and berries, or your homemade granola. Nice cream is amazing. Just blend up a couple of frozen bananas with a small amount of berries or cacao powder, maybe some nut butter, and it creates this amazing, thick, decadent ice cream-like texture. Then there's fruits. So you can enjoy apples, oranges with nut butters or on their own, whatever's in season. I mentioned already the popcorn recipe, and we've also included recipes for you for our carrot raisin muffins and the apple cinnamon overnight oats. So those are some more snack and dessert ideas. And then chocolate. I always like to have some dark chocolate on hand. Beware of buying chocolate in bulk. I think if you buy milk chocolate or candy in bulk, you're going to end up eating more of it. So I try not to stock it at home in those quantities. You're better off buying something healthy in small quantities, and trust that if and when needed, you will be able to get some more later. All right, so type in some of your favorite homemade healthy snack or dessert ideas. Share them with the other ladies, swap recipes, support each other. So that's some ideas there. Now, lastly, I just wanted to share some quick tips to increase the life of your perishables. So I gave the example of chopping up the fresh herbs with garlic. Another thing you can do is actually saute your greens with garlic and olive oil, and then you can actually eat them over the course of 3 or 4 days, or freeze them even. And you can use this in soups or as a side or in meatloaf, or add to your beans. Another tip is you can cut the ends off radishes, celery, carrots, and store them in an airtight container with water to keep them fresh. They stay a lot more crispy, and they're so delicious like that. I often just get a vase and put water in the bottom, and then I'll put a bunch of celery or carrots or whatever, or asparagus especially, into it. It keeps it really fresh and crunchy. Another thing is you can bring your greens back to life by soaking them in a big lunch box of water for about 10 minutes. So if your greens get wilted, wash them and then put them in a container of water for 10-15 minutes, and they spring back to life and get crunchy and fresh again. Obvious suggestions, things like freezing your meat, freezing your bread, freezing bananas. Take the skin off first to keep those fresh. And then greens can be frozen, but they can change color and consistency. So if that happens, use them in your soups, in your scrambled eggs, in your beans, or in your smoothies. So any other ideas, ladies, to prolong the life of perishables? I know you'll be bursting with amazing suggestions. So that really completes the session. We've covered the 3 topics of how to get your pantry stock and fridge for healthy, safe, delicious meals. We've covered how to plan your meals for the weeks to come without having to leave your house, what you can actually make out of your food, and how to use up what you already have at home and store it correctly to minimize the chances of waste. So before we take off, I just wanted to share a few final words, which is, be realistic. We always tell our members it's about baby steps. It's about tiny changes. To get health improvement, ladies, you don't need to make drastic changes. You just need to be a tiny bit better than what you were yesterday, and then keep it up. And if you keep it up day after day, those tiny changes add up to huge results, huge transformations. Our members have lost from 10 pounds to over 100 pounds. They've reversed diabetes, reversed high blood pressure, reversed high blood cholesterol, gotten off medications. So tiny changes add up to big transformations if you stick with it, but you won't be able to stick with it if you try to do too much too soon. So with that said, make sure you eat enough. If you do make healthy changes, realize that the calorie density of a lot of this fresh produce is a tiny fraction of the calories you get from junk food, from processed foods, refined foods, fast food, convenience foods, candy. And so you need to eat abundant meals if you start eating more healthy, so you can nourish your body and fill it up. And the weight will fall off you if you eat this way. That's been the experience of my members time and time again. As long as you listen to your body, don't go crazy, know the difference between eating for cravings and eating for hunger, and find other ways to manage your stress and emotional eating if it rises its head during this time. Slow down and eat mindfully. There is no better way than to eat the right amount of calories for your body and to nourish your body and self-care properly than actually slowing down and letting your body realize what it's eating and actually really enjoying your food. It's a great tip. I can't tell you how much I notice when I eat my food on the go, taking care of my kids, throwing this back here and there. I don't even feel like I've had a meal at the end of it. I feel like I still want to sit down and have breakfast, even though I might have had a full breakfast. So really try and take 5 minutes, put your computer away, put your device away, slow down and eat mindfully. It does make a huge difference. And then lastly, just see the opportunity again in this situation. Try to manage your stress with breathing and meditation. Reach out for help. Stay connected with us. We're here to help. Whether you're in our members group or our community group, check in, share your ideas, support each other. But really look for the opportunity here to actually make this one of the best, most memorable moments of your life where you made that decision to finally get healthy and you took those steps to get there. So that is all I've got for you today. I hope this was helpful. I will share the link again to get the free recipe guides. I'm going to type in the chat now. Awesome, Louise. So happy you can catch the replay. Absolutely. So I've just typed the URL to get the free recipe guide. I'm going to be sending information out about ways we can support you. We want to actually try and make some more of our recipes available, our mindset program. We've got the 4-month life-changing cooking program. I did share in your email, our prices are going up for that. So we have, since 2016, we've never increased our prices. And since then, we've recruited 8 team members, including United States, born and raised and educated nutritionists, dietitians, professional chefs, and we pay our team fairly. And so our prices are going up. And so we've been absorbing those costs since 2016. So our prices are going up. And so if you've been wanting to get support to actually lose the weight, keep it off in a healthy way and reverse those high blood numbers and get support during this difficult time from an expert team who's going to be available answering your questions, how to boost your immune system, how to heal quickly, then maybe our program is a good fit for you. The prices are going to be going up. Similar programs cost thousands of dollars. Right now it's $297, I think, and there's installment plans. That's our discounted pricing. So there's information coming to your inbox about that if you want to check it out. You can also reach out to our team, member@homemade-cooking.com, and I will also share the link to that if you're interested in checking it out. And there's only a few places available because we do have expert coaches supporting our members. So that is everything I've got for you. Thanks for being here. Great to have you on. Linda, Janet, Kathy, so fantastic. All right. Glad you got so much out of this, and I will see you ladies soon. Reach out if we can support you in any way. Bye now.